We're going to talk about saving, printing, and creating a new ticket in the Main Street software. Currently we have a job up on the screen that we've put information in for, and now we need to save this job information. So in order to do that, the only thing that is required in the program is that we have to have a name filled in. Once we have a name filled in, any other information is purely up to you as to what you want to add. Obviously, we usually want some items on this ticket, although you may have certain situations where you're going to go out to a job site to estimate a job, and so you may not have any parts for that job yet, so it may just be a name and an address and phone number. So in order to save this ticket, we're going to go up to the top to the Save icon and click on it. Now you'll notice that there's a down arrow next to the Save icon. There is some other choices as well. We can choose Save and Clear, and what that would do is allow us to save this ticket and then clear the ticket off of the screen. If you wish to save the ticket and then print it, you can skip going to the Save icon and you can go directly to the Print icon. And again, it has a drop down as well. It allows you to print item labels, and that's very helpful on flat glass jobs if you have a lot of different items, and as they come in you want to be able to label those items with the customer's information. You would need a Dymo label printer, and there's more information about that in your POS manual, or you can contact technical support and we can give you information on which particular printer you would need. And then there is the option to print and again clear the ticket off of the screen. So we'll go ahead first and we're just going to go ahead and choose the Save option. And you can see it brings us up a Save As box, gives us several choices. At this point, we haven't done anything with this ticket, so we can save it as a quote, a work order, or an invoice. Now, you don't have to save something first as a quote. If you've already done the job and you've got all your information in, you could go directly to saving it as an invoice. If the customer has already agreed that they want the work done, but you haven't done it yet, you can save it as a work order. Or if you've just given them pricing and they haven't decided yet, you can save it as a quote. Note a couple of things here. First off, the number that will be assigned to the ticket will be the next number in the sequence, and quote numbers are kept in a separate sequence from work order and invoice numbers. But once a ticket is made into a work order, that same number will be used as the invoice number. Also, once a payment has been applied to a ticket, it can only be saved as either a work order or an invoice. It cannot be saved as a quote. So we'll go ahead and leave it on quote and choose OK. And now you'll see in the upper right hand corner it's assigned us a quote number. And we have the order still on the screen because we did not choose the Save and Clear option. Let's take a look at printing this ticket out. If we go and click on the print icon, it will always first want to save the ticket. So this is why if you're going to print something, you don't have to choose Save first. You can just hit Print and you'll first give you the option as to how you want to save this. We'll go ahead and again still leave it as a quote and choose OK. Now we'll get our print options window. You can see we have a number of different options here. Over on the left hand side it is currently selected to go to the printer, and in the window to the right there is the printer that it's going to print to for me. I can click on the down arrow, and if I have multiple printers I can pick which printer I want this job to print to. Below this I have an option to print to the screen. If I choose this, obviously it's, instead of printing out to my printer, it'll just print directly to the screen so I can take a look at it, and that can be very helpful before you print something out, just to make sure everything looks the way you want it to look. Next option is to print it to a file. If I choose that, by default it will print this to a PDF file and it will save that to the My Documents folder on your computer. If I click on the button over to the right of the window, it gives me some options for that file as to what type of file I want. And as you can see, again, by default it's set to a PDF file. However, if I wanted to print it to a different type of file, such as an Excel or a CSV file, I could. And over to the right, I've got the file name, so I could change that file name to something else. Also, if I click on the button to the right of the file name, it gives me an option as to where I want to save that file if I wanted to save it somewhere other than my documents. Also, if you're using the Glas-Avenue hosted software, because the software is on our servers and not your computer, you actually would need to make sure to go to the Save As window and choose to select your computer to save the document to, as opposed to the My Documents folder, which would be on the Main Street servers. So for more information on that, you'll want to watch the tutorial on the hosted print to file settings. Once you have everything set here, if you've made any changes, just choose OK. And then the mail option, that would allow you to email a ticket to somebody. So you would click on the mail option. If on our ticket the email section had been filled in, that email address would be in the window already. However, in this case there wasn't, so if I wanted to email it, I would just click into that window and type in the email address that I wanted it to go to. And then over to the right, I've got a button here that I can click on that gives me some more options for my email. I can add more email addresses to send it to, and I can do those as a CC or a BCC if I'd like. In the subject line, I can change the subject, and then in the message area, I can add in a message. Down at the bottom, I have an area I can add attachments, so if you wanted to attach any other files to this invoice, you could. And then once you have all of that, you just choose OK. Over to the right, we have our setup button to set up your printer, number of copies, and the bin drop down. If you have a printer that prints to multiple bins, you could choose which bin you want to print to. And then the page number, that normally you would just leave as is. If you have an invoice that's several pages long and you just want to print a particular page, you can change that then to be, say, page 2 through page 2 if you just want to see page 2 printed out. Then we have an option to print either detail or summary. Detail is going to give you all the information, whereas summary may cut certain information off. So typically on a quote, order, or invoice, you're going to want to leave that on detail. Then in the format, there are a number of different formats you can choose. You can also create your own formats. And these formats are based on whether the ticket is an auto glass or a flat glass ticket. So if this being an auto glass ticket, you can see we have things like an insured receipt, a mobile invoice. With prices is the default setting unless you've made changes. If you have a flat glass ticket, then you'll have different formats to choose from. Below that, we have our messages option, and you can create as many different messages as you like in the administration configuration section of the program, and you can name each different one, and then when you go to print, you can set it up as to which messages print on which types of tickets. So if this were a work order instead of a quote, it might have other messages in that window already checked. You can always go in and uncheck and check particular messages, and you can do multiple messages as well. And then down at the bottom, the Save Settings option. If you want your tickets to continue printing with this particular setup, so if we have a particular printer that we wanted to set instead of our default printer, we picked a different printer that we wanted things to go to, and let's say I wanted it to always print 2 copies, then I could choose the Save Settings, and then every time I went back to print a ticket, it would have these settings. Once I have everything the way I want it, I would just simply click OK to print this out. We'll go ahead and just print it to the screen for a moment here. And you can see briefly what our ticket looks like. And you can customize this, and there's more information on that in the tutorial on the invoice customization. Once I've saved a ticket and printed it, I would probably want to clear that ticket off of the screen to be able to do a new ticket. And in order to do that, we would go up to the top here and click New. Now, There's also an option for new session. And what that is used for is if you have a ticket up on the screen and you're not done working with it, but you need to do another ticket, you can click on new session and it will open up a second ticket that will be blank. And then if I wanted to go back to the first ticket, you can just click on window and it will show that first ticket that we had open, and you can click on it to go back to it. To clear the information off of this first ticket here and make it where I can type up a new ticket, I can just click on new, and now all the information is cleared out and we're ready to do a new ticket.